Thank you.
I know. It's a few minutes early for the live show, but if I can get any jump on the day, I'm gonna. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, live with you each and every weekday morning around 8 o'clock. Sometimes it's right on the button. Sometimes it's a few moments after or before. But either way, we're live each and every weekday morning. If you can't catch the live show, you can always find the podcast. Just search Illinois in Focus and you'll be able to find it. You can also just go to our YouTube page and watch the live show on replay, or we do segment out the various topics that we touch on each and every weekday morning. Again, go to thecentersquare.com, sign up for the newsletter where you will get headlines in your inbox each and every day. And you can even get the national headlines as well, which it's important to stay on top of what's going on there. We've got great teams across the country looking at state governments and the federal government and how it's impacting you. So no charge to you. We're a free newswire service, so be sure to check that out. All right, so we got several things we got to talk about. Of course, the Illinois legislature still in session. They wrap their business up on May 31st. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things they did do yesterday. They had bills that made it all the way through both chambers and could be sent to the governor soon. So we'll talk a little bit about some of that. We'll also have to hear what Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson had to say in reaction to comments he made over the weekend about hiring black people for city officials, and the DOJ coming back and saying there's an investigation now for civil rights violation potential for your hiring practices. Well, the mayor was asked about that yesterday, so we'll hear a little bit about that as well. So it's all on the way here with Illinois in Focus Daily each and every weekday morning. I'm Greg Bishop. One thing I did want to draw your attention to, again, go to thecentersquare.com where you can see the area to sign up for the newsletter. You can also donate. But the top headline, just published this morning, ICE makes major TDA arrest in Chicago. I want to touch on this just briefly before we get into some more in-depth of other topics. But this is why it's important for you to get to the Center Square, make it part of your daily consumption. But the Center Square contributor, Bethany Blankley, she reports that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents making an arrest of a man they believe to be responsible for a mass shooting at a December Chicago house party. Member of the foreign terrorist organization Tren de Aragua. First major arrests were made in January and February in Chicago and in North Carolina. Over the last few weeks, 16 TDA members and associates of the shooters were arrested in Chicago by ICE, HSI, Chicago, on immigration charges, they announced Tuesday. So you can read this entire report here. Again, no paywall. No paywall. Go read it and stay up to date with what's going on there. But those are just some of the headlines you'll get at thecentersquare.com. When you go to the Illinois page, just highlight states, go to Illinois. You can also check out the national page with all kinds of headlines. And don't forget to, I know, sounds like an advertisement. I'm just letting you know the breadth of our work, just how much we've got going on. You see, of course, the Center Square YouTube page. A lot of you here for Illinois, but there's lots of shorts from Washington, D.C. and clips from all across the country, so you might find something of interest there. All right, it's Illinois in Focus Daily. Stay tuned. We'll be back to look at what's going on at the state legislature and what's coming up today. It's right here with Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning here with the Center Square and Illinois in Focus. 13 bills queued for the governor's desk here in Illinois. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, and this is just the beginning of what's going to be likely a long slog till May 31st. So the state legislature in session for spring session. This is the first year of the 2-year term for the 104th Illinois General Assembly. So your local state legislators in the House and the Senate convening in Springfield, and they've got until May 31st to pass what is supposed to be the priority, and that is the annual spending plan. We're going to hear a lot more about that, likely the final days before the 31st, where they'll release the thousands of pages of a budget document line by line, the budget implementation bill, which could possibly include changes in revenue and how they're going to collect taxes on certain issues. So there's going to be a lot to unpack there. But in the meantime, if you recall, if you've been watching the program for a bit earlier this year, you had legislators with deadlines to get things out of committees, and they passed like 500 bills in the span of like a week and a half out of both chambers to the other chamber. How does a bill become a law? Gets filed in one chamber, has to pass that chamber, go over to the next chamber, pass that chamber, and then it can go to the governor or the executive. If the bill in one chamber passes to the next chamber and the next chamber amends that, it has to go back to the originating chamber to be concurred upon before it can then be sent to the governor or the executive. So right now we have a lot of bills that are from one chamber to the other. And now we're in the final stretch where those other chambers have to pass those bills onto the governor or amend them and pass them back and concur. Of course, this is also where you get the shell bill game that plays out a lot of times the end of these types of sessions, where they take a bill that's passed the House, for instance, it's sitting in the Senate, senator goes and gets it, says, all right, we're going to gut and replace this bill, and then we're going to kick it over to the House for concurrence, and then it can go to the governor. We've seen that done with controversial legislation. For instance, the Illinois gun ban that was starting out as insurance legislation, but then in a lame duck session before the end of the 102nd General Assembly. Gosh, has already been that. You've got the shell bill gutted and replaced, had less steps to go and get to the governor's desk. So we're going to be watching all of that, of course. High-flying action this week. But so far, 13 bills that they have passed. So yesterday was somewhat of a long day, but it started off with State Representative David Freese highlighting something that we broke on here with the Center Square on Friday about Illinois State Police essentially doing maintenance on a website that some said violates constitutional rights by it being down and not allowing for people to purchase things like ammunition. Here's David Freese.
Point of personal privilege, please.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, last week we had the Illinois Gun Owners Lobby Day here, and this week we've been advised by the state of Illinois that the FOID card system will be temporarily shut down for maintenance. So what does this mean? It means that FOID card holders and law-abiding citizens cannot purchase a firearm, cannot purchase ammunition, or validate their FOID card. Additionally, it means that private businesses will essentially be unable to operate and complete sales until this is resolved. Only the state of Illinois could find a way to trash the Second Amendment and private businesses at the same time. Let me be clear, this is not the fault of the Illinois State Police. They have been dealt the unfortunate hand to deal with this. The fault lies with our lawmakers. There is no other constitutional right that we would tolerate being obstructed. There is absolutely no governmental, administrative, bureaucratic system excuse that warrants obstructing the constitutional rights. Imagine if the government told you that due to computer update that your free speech was suspended. We would never tolerate that. So why is the Second Amendment any different? The FOID card is bad enough as it is. It does nothing to make law-abiding gun owners pay to exercise their rights. It is time to get rid of the FOID card and stop forcing gun owners to exchange money for rights in Illinois. Thank you.
So David Freese making those comments on the House floor yesterday, and that was amidst them passing Senate bills out of the House on final passage. So, when they're on the House floor or the Senate floor, legislators typically take points of personal privilege. And they get to stand up and say, this is my page for the day, 13-year-old Joanne from my district, and she's here to see what the legislature does. Or they take a point of personal privilege and point out some constituents that are in the gallery watching from above, looking down onto the House. So other times you get points of personal privilege where they make political speeches, just as others we've heard making speeches about the budget and how there's a possibility of some tax increases. So clearly, you've David Freese was the legislator there. So what all passed yesterday? And again, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of the legislative fire hydrant, so to speak, opening up. This is just a trickle. All right, so let's pull up the report of the bills that passed yesterday out of both chambers, meaning they passed out of the House, they passed out of the Senate, and then they went to the other chamber. So only Senate bills this time. So we're looking at 13 different Senate bills that passed. One is Senate Bill 19, and it deals with the Prisoner Review Board. And the Prisoner Review Board has been a point of controversy for some time in the state of Illinois under Governor J.B. Pritzker. Everything from Prisoner Review Board members getting rejected by legislators to others being appointed, and then just before the appointment deadline of the Senate to confirm comes up, the governor withdraws the name and then reappoints. But you also have other things with the Prisoner Review Board, which is essentially a parole board for prisoners who are looking to get out of prison for whatever it may be, health reasons, or they've reformed themselves, and so on. So that's what the Prisoner Review Board does, and it's made of gubernatorial appointees. So yesterday, they ended up passing a bill that brings about some more I don't know if you call them reforms or regulations, but State Representative Will Guzzardi laying it out there, what he intends to do with legislation that passed the Senate already and is now in the House. But if you remember last year, and if you've been paying attention, the Prisoner Review Board made a flashpoint because a young child was killed by a recent parolee who was trying to protect his mother, that the recently released individual was attacking, and you've got questions about how the PRB's role in that, made some bad steps, bad decisions, and that spurred on unanimous approval for a measure out of the Illinois Senate to reform the PRB. Unanimous approval. Republicans and Democrats were on board with it. But last year, that measure never made it to the House. So now you've got a new measure that still has some support, but some saying that it's watered down. And you get this debate back and forth. State Representative Will Guzzardi in the House with State Representative House Minority Leader Tony McCombie. And then last month in the Senate, you had Don Harmon, the Senate President, and State Senator Steve McClure. So check this out.
Modernization of the authorizing law for the Prisoner Review Board. There are about 20 distinct changes in the bill. I would describe them as in three general buckets or categories. The first bucket is expanding the rights of victims in petitions before the Prisoner Review Board. This is especially true of survivors of domestic violence and people who have orders of protections. This bill also clarifies and improves processes for petitioners who are going before the board. And then the third category of changes would be increasing the professionalism and the efficiency of members of the board.
2 decades ago, a young girl was murdered by her boyfriend, and he has recently been released. There was a lot of confusion, some missing details of his release.
The bill is laser focused on the question of making sure that all parties engaged in these cases are heard from and brought into.
I think with an 8-year term, members will be less concerned about being reappointed and will serve their term and do the best work that they can do.
So again, I commend President Harmon for the original bill. I think this needs to come out of the Senate. but I disagree wholeheartedly with the way the governor's handled all of this. And instead of taking care of it, he chimes in on a bill to water down what was a great bill and now make it to where it's going to be very hard to keep people in that are dangerous.
So the debates back and forth on that ultimately leading to the measure passing with some bipartisan support, and now that can be sent to Governor J.B. Pritzker. Some other things that passed yesterday, and looking at the report, again, only 13 bills passed. You had several that dealt with veterans, like, for instance, allowing for veterans to have easier access to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. You have this one here about the sole source aquifer. This was a controversial issue last year, where you've got the issue of hydraulic fracturing, carbon sequestration. Sometimes I get those things mixed up. Either way, both happen underground, and they both involve a heavy industrial type of operation. But major concern right now for people is the carbon sequestration, and that's part of this idea of taking carbon from a factory and distilling it down to a liquid form, carbon dioxide, piping it through various communities, and then you get it into a system that pumps it way down into the earth. Way down into the earth. Carbon sequestration. They're sequestering it, like when you sequester a jury. And the idea is maybe down the line they can grab that carbon and use it for some kind of energy purposes or something. Again, the science, I don't know it all. I know that it's something that is being promoted as a climate protection initiative, but it, on the other side of where the opponents are, you've seen this interesting mix of environmentalists saying pumping carbon dioxide across state lines to put into the ground could damage water, aquifers, and then you've also got property rights people saying, and this is like a coalition against the carbon sequestration stuff. Those worried about environmental issues, and then also those who are worried about property rights, as farmers are going to, be tasked with allowing these pipelines to go across their property. So there's a lot of opposition to it. Last year got to a boil, but the measure never passed to protect the Mahomet Aquifer. Well, yesterday a measure did pass to somewhat protect the Mahomet Aquifer. Let's go ahead and pull that up. And again, you can go to thecentersquare.com. If you get the headlines each and every weekday morning, you can just click through and watch this yourself. Kevin Bessler's story, you can read that. But here is some of the floor debate yesterday and also from last month.
Mahomet Aquifer in central Illinois is a sole source clean drinking water for nearly 1 million people in our state. This bill puts in additional protections for the Mahomet Aquifer. This bill is necessary because there was an effort to store carbon that had been sequestrated under the aquifer, the main source of our drinking water.
There's a lot of constituents within the greater Mahomet Aquifer area that have concerns with the sequestering through and underneath the Mahomet Aquifer. I know it's relatively local to central Illinois, but it also affects greater Illinois if something were to happen to that aquifer. So I want to thank everybody that had a part of this. It's a good bill.
There's 1 million Illinoisans that this is their only source of water. This bill does not prevent carbon sequestration. 85% of the geographic landmass of Illinois is suitable for such sequestration. But what this does do is says you can't do it on the Mahomet Aquifer because it's our only source of drinking water. So you can go north, south, east, west, but just not on this little piece that bans through central Illinois.
So that's just a bipartisan measure that went through. You had Democrats and Republicans come together and finally get something done. Does it go far enough to protect the aquifer? Some people may say not enough. So it's hard to make some people happy. But that's just another one of the bills that passed yesterday out of both chambers. So 13 bills so far. 13 bills. We're going to have hundreds more. How many? I forget what I predicted. I think I said like 427 or something. I'll have to go back and check the tape. What I just kind of prognosticating here as to how many bills they're going to pass before May 31st. And that's going to make for some interesting summertime headlines of the governor releasing a list of 250 bills that he signed all at once or all in one day, or that he announced that were signed. And those are always fun to go through and find what's up. But listen, I mean, we're in this stretch here where we're also watching other things, not just what passes, but also looking at where the budget conversation is and other controversial legislation. Two major things in particular. The Homeschool Act, is that going to come back up? It stalled out in the House. It already passed the Senate. Stalled out in the House. The other issue, safe gun storage. Is that going to advance? Already passed the Senate. What about in the House? Has yet to advance out of committee. We'll be watching that. And there is a House Gun Violence Prevention Committee today. We'll see if they end up picking that up. But they've got until May 31st. See what happens. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Wake up with us each and every weekday morning and get the headlines at thecentersquare.com. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson being asked outright yesterday to respond to critics who say he's racist. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. This after the mayor made comments about the importance of hiring black people in city leadership. And then the DOJ, Civil Rights Division, announcing they're going to investigate possible civil rights hiring practice violations. And the mayor holding a news conference yesterday. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join us each and every weekday morning. And we got a live chat that goes on, but you can also catch the live show on replay, or you can get the podcast where you get podcasts. And also, don't forget, you can subscribe to the newsletter. All right, so we talked about this yesterday and aired Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's comments that he made about hiring black people in city official capacity for like deputy mayor posts and budget director type positions, and saying that it's all about the diversity of it all. But then the DOJ, we also read that entire letter from Harmeet Dillon, the Assistant Attorney General for the U.S. Department of Justice Division of Civil Rights. And they laid out why they feel that there might be something here, and they're investigating. So Mayor Johnson reacting yesterday to some of that. Here he is to a general question about the Trump administration and their DOJ seeming to target the city of Chicago.
You know, what's clear is that not only does the Trump administration not respect the rule of law or what's sensible about our society, you would be hard-pressed to find qualified individuals who are in his administration. You know, as my administration reflects the country, it reflects the city, his administration reflects the country club. And that is the biggest difference between what we're doing in Chicago and what is coming from the federal government. We're going to remain firm and steadfast in our commitment to ensure that the incredible diverse talent that we have within our administration that continues to lead us towards the safest, most affordable big city in America. We're not going to shy away or apologize for who we are.
So again, he talks about how the Trump administration are the ones who are discriminating and such. So how that plays overall, not sure. Here's more of Johnson reacting to the question about the DOJ investigation.
The approach is an approach that speaks to competency. That's it. This would be unprecedented, but if you just look at the way the Trump's administration is reflecting right now, I'm calling on the Department of Justice to investigate the Trump administration and its discriminatory practices in their hiring.
So is the DOJ going to take word from Brandon Johnson on this and investigate the Trump administration for such types of allegations? A lot of Q&A there yesterday. It was like an hour-plus news conference. You can go watch it at the City of Chicago Mayor's Office Facebook page. But reporter William Kelly, who we've had on the program before in the past, he's an independent reporter. He shows up to these news conferences in Chicago, and here's some of the exchange that you can find on William Kelly's Twitter profile, his X page, kind of interesting reaction here from Brandon Johnson.
Want the question? Please. Real Chicagoans want to know, why are you a racist? Mayor Johnson.
Yeah.
Please turn the mic on. Thank you. Real Chicagoans woke up this morning relieved that the Department of Justice is finally investigating your race hustle. As someone who grew up on the south side of Chicago, I've heard a lot of race hustlers in my life, trust me.
I'm just letting y'all know.
But they were usually marching around outside of City Hall, which is what makes this so embarrassing and dangerous. Very, very dangerous to the city of Chicago.
Okay, we need the question.
I'm more than happy to ask this question. It's long overdue. For over a year, real Chicagoans, white and black, have been telling me that your black power rhetoric is bringing the city backwards from a place that it had overcome. You want the question?
Please.
Real Chicagoans want to know, why are you a racist?
Well, first of all, I reject the idea and the premise that somehow that's an actual legitimate question.
You want that?
All right, we're going to go to the next one.
And that's it. That's essentially the exchange. Kelly asks a follow-up question, and Johnson dismisses the question. That's it. He just dismisses the question. So you also have others in Chicago who for months have been calling for investigations of city leadership. You've got Chicago Red and Chicago Flips Red, several organizations up there that have been taking to public comments and announcing that they want some accountability for Chicago city officials. Here is Zoe Lee, founder of Chicago Flips Red, talking about how she feels that there's a whole host of problems with city officials.
So I'm just letting y'all know, Trump, please come. Pam Bondi, Cass Patel, Don Bongino, all y'all are in violation of every law. Y'all do not care about the law at all. Y'all are trash, like dumpster trash. Like it can't get no worse than y'all. Like y'all really are a disgrace 50. Y'all are criminals.
That's, again, Zoe Lee from the organization Chicago Flips Red during a recent, it was actually, Monday, a Chicago City Council committee hearing. And then you had Johnson talking about how he wants the Trump administration investigated by the DOJ, but the DOJ is investigating the city of Chicago over such things. And listen, that's just one thing that the city of Chicago has to deal with. We've got the lawsuit the DOJ has against the city's welcoming ordinance, sanctuary policies for non-citizen migrants, and so much more. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. We'll track it all right here on YouTube each and every weekday morning. I'm Greg Bishop. Catch the program, join the live chat. If you can't catch that, get the podcasts or check out the segments of the program here. The shorts, not just from Illinois, but also from Washington, D.C. and beyond. There at the YouTube channel, but you can also get the newsletter in your inbox at thecentersquare.com. I got to get out of here. Started a few minutes early so I could try to wrap up a few minutes early. I've got a few things I got to do before I get to the Capitol, which not sure how long of a day it's going to be today. Could be a long day tomorrow, could be a long day Friday, and then Memorial Day they're off. Listen, 11 years plus I've been working at the Capitol covering State House politics. I've worked Memorial Days. I've worked 4th of Julys. If they are taking Memorial Day off, fantastic. I'll enjoy the nice 3-day weekend. And then the last days of May, please pray for me and my team as it's going to be some long and frustrating days. But we get paid to do it so that you can stay informed. Go to thecentersquare.com if you want to help donate to the cause of nonprofit, nonpartisan, truth-telling journalism. Go to thecentersquare.com and support us today. Have yourselves a great, what is it, Wednesday? We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, God willing. All right, have a great day. We'll see you back here. I'm Greg Bishop. Follow me anywhere. Just search Bishop on Air, and we can connect that way. That's right, Captain Mike. I'm not going to be working Monday.